Hello everyone, and welcome to some MiSTer FPGA news. This week, we will talk about PlayStation updates, new arcade cores, getting the Amiga core onto the internet, and more. So let's get to it. The developer for the PlayStation core keeps up with the bug fixes. Several more bugs related to the CD and the M deck are fixed. Games affected by these fixes are The Fireman, Parasite Eve, Ogre Battle Limited Edition, and Soccer 97. The timing improvements made over the past couple of weeks have gotten the following games working better: WCW vs. the World, Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX, Stallfetter, and Thrasher Skate and Destroy. The developer also posted a couple of Patreon articles. One involved how interlaced rendering worked on the PlayStation, and also how the 480i to 480p hack was implemented. The other article was a debug session. The developer walked you through the process of debugging the Destruction Derby 2 demo. Jimmy Stones has also been working on a new core for the arcade game Jet Fighter by Atari. From the video that you see here, you can see that it's a pretty early game. The core is slowly taking shape, but now there is video output. On the latest update, Jimmy Stone talks about how the planes are now firing in the correct direction. Hotego has had another CPS3 board donated. Since he's doing some destructive analysis, it's important that the boards he receives are non-working. Having multiple dead boards can help with different types of analysis and schematic extractions. The CPS3 was an arcade board developed by Capcom. It was the continuation of its CPS board, which ran games like Street Fighter II, Final Fight, and many more. The CPS1 and CPS2 boards had a couple similarities to it that helped with the core development. However, the CPS3 board is very different to the older boards. The older boards had a CPU combination of a 68000 and Z80 CPU. They also ran on ROM chips, while the CPS3 board has a Hitachi CPU and also used CD-ROM storage. So a lot more work will be involved to create a CPS3 core. Mike Simone has ported a core of the arcade game Sun to the MiSTer FPGA. This was a 2D platformer game that Capcom released in 1984. Update your MiSTer now to obtain the core. The PCXT core's hard drive support will soon work a lot easier thanks to full XT IDE support. Before, with the core, there was a complicated process of getting a hard disk image to work with it. With the upcoming update, it should work a lot more like how hard disk images work in the AO486 core. On the project's GitHub, there is a hard disk image with FreeDOS installed that you can try out. But you can also create your own images. To create your own images, you will have to use an emulator like PCM or 86box. Spark 2K06 is a main dev for this core, but this XT IDE support was added by Katune-san. In addition to this improved hard disk support, there's also new Tandy 1000 graphics modes that were added, giving you more options to display games and software. To help develop these new graphics modes, user @Mills created a graphics test program, and user @FamiClone tested these modes on his real Tandy 1000 machine. Anton Gale has released the Exerion core. I don't think it's available by running the update script yet. If it isn't by the time this video is out, you can still obtain the core from GitHub. If you're interested in Anton's journey developing this core, it is all documented on Twitter. Exerion is a third-person shoot-'em-up released in 1983. You control a starship that must shoot down enemies while avoiding your enemy shots. The game had some cool scaling effects, and I still find them impressive now. Kierko has gotten far enough with the Express Raider core to soon start working on sound after a small issue is fixed. He also started to move the core from the simulation phase to an actual MiSTer core, as you can see from the image here. Want to get the Amiga core onto the internet? Well, user AB Bub on the MiSTer FPGA forums has gotten it working with a program called Roadshow. Roadshow is an Amiga TCP IP stack that allows you to connect to the internet, access your email, web pages, chat, etc. It can also help you access and exchange files within your local network. This looks to be very useful if you want to easily get files in and out of the Amiga core. The program is not free and costs €25 for a download and €30 if you want a CD version. But there's also a free demo available to test out. User ABBub explains exactly how to get this core working on MiSTer with a forum post. DefMod is celebrating the 1-year anniversary of its Ironclad Plus Mini ITX board. This board allows you to have a MiSTer setup on almost any PC case, even slim ones. On DefMod's website, they are giving shipping status on the 4th batch, and there's also a 5th batch that's still available for sale. They also announced the internal MT32 Pi hat. This will give you MT32 Pi support and will be hidden inside the case. But you can still use an external Pi hat using the board's serial port. If you want more info on this board, check out the video that I created dedicated to it. For MiSTer Multisystem owners, the Pi expansion cartridge is now available for sale. This cartridge will also give you the ability to use the MT32 Pi project on the MiSTer Multisystem. But it's also possible to use the MT32 Pi project using the MiSTer Multisystem serial port. And if you're interested, the team behind the MiSTer Multisystem also released a datasheet for the Pi expansion cartridge. A new core for the arcade game Tropical Angel has been released. This is a pseudo 3D game where you take control of a woman on a water ski. You must dodge obstacles while making your way through some gates. Protego has teased next Friday's core, calling it JT Kiwi. I can only assume that the next game will be the New Zealand story. Protego already had worked on the Renegade schematics and also released a core for it, and this game belongs in the same family of hardware as the New Zealand story, Insector X, and other games. The major clue that leads me to believe that this is the game that's going to come next is because in that game you control a kiwi bird. What do you think? Do you think my guess is correct? And other miscellaneous MiSTer fixes and updates are: the Neo Geo core had some audio fixes done by Grey Rogue. The Genesis core had a controller reset fix implemented by Sam Hardman. The ColecoVision core had an issue with the Coleco SGM module fix by Ramon Martinez. And the frameworks for these cores were updated. For the Donkey Kong 3 arcade core, a timing issue that caused the core to crash was fixed, and the framework was updated. That's it for other updates. Please also try to support Sorge, the maintainer of the MiSTer project, and other MiSTer developers and contributors on support platforms such as Patreon and Ko-fi. Their hard work allows us to enjoy this amazing project. So that's it for this week's episode. I provided links to all my sources in the description. Make sure you also check out RetroRGB.com to see my MiSTer News videos in blog form and to get more retro-related content. And if possible, support them on Patreon too. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button and its bell icon so you can get notified of future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you next time.